welcome back to the Two-Thirds Boxing Show, episode 12. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, Facebook, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a fairly quiet weekend of boxing, and obviously we had Chris Colbert who fought King Tug, because I cannot say Nyambayer. I'm just having to re-record this, which is a little bit annoying. Chris Colbert, I thought was quite impressive. I think it was the fight at the right time for Chris Colbert. I think it wasn't too soon or anything like that. I think King Tug gave him a couple of puzzles to solve at the very start of the fight. Allowed Colbert to really kind of adapt and eventually show his quality and nick those rounds, and then go on to win by unanimous decision, and retains his WBA interim title. And yeah, I think it was just about right. I think Colbert is one of the stars of the future. I won't say the star of the future. And I think he just needs those couple of fights to really prove that he's going to be one of the serious contenders, one of the serious fighters in the 130-pound division. I don't believe that he'll fight Gervonta Davis next. I think that is way too soon. But the fight that has been called for, and the fight that I think I would enjoy seeing, is him against Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is, a very well-known name. It's a name that Chris Colbert can kind of bounce off of, and I think even though he's been stopped by Gervonta Davis, I think it's still that kind of statement where Chris Colbert is at a much lower level than Gervonta Davis is now seen at, that if he stops Leo Santa Cruz, it's still a massive statement. If he beats him very convincingly, it's still a very big statement. Carl Frampton in the fight with Leo Santa Cruz, through the skin of his teeth, beat Leo Santa Cruz, and vice versa when it happened in the rematch. I think that's a fight that everybody wants to see, and I think Chris Colbert would definitely put everything on the line in that fight. I think he's bang up for it. I think it's probably the right time to face someone of that quality, because I don't know who else that he's really going to face. And I think if he beats Leo Santa Cruz, he's proving to everyone in the 130-pound division that he's ready to take on anyone. If you can beat Leo Santa Cruz, I don't care whether it's at 130 pounds or 126 pounds or 122 pounds. I think if he beats him, and he beats him well, if he beats him convincingly, you've got to say that Chris Colbert is ready to take on anyone. And that was just the one thing that was about this fight, is that you kind of think he's ready, but maybe there should be one more fight before he takes on a world title shot as well. Like, they're kind of tied up. You've got Jamel Herring facing Shakur Stevenson. That fight is now in advanced talks, which basically means that it's very close to being announced. It's like I said, I expressed my sort of concern for that fight. I just didn't want to get in the way of a unification fight between Valdez and Jamel Herring. I think the fact that those two had career best wins, and then could just go straight into a unification, they had the same promoter, made so much sense. I just wanted Shakur Stevenson to wait, because Shakur Stevenson just hasn't impressed me as of late. Not worth saying too much criticism. Just not a fan. Not a massive fan. I think everybody has those fighters that they watch with a lot more respect and enjoyment, I suppose, is more the word that I'm looking for. And Shakur Stevenson just isn't one of them. For me anyway. Jamel Herring, Valdez, would love to see it, but yeah, that fight is now in kind of advanced talks. Which, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. That will happen later this year. Shakur Stevenson, the WBO mandatory, taking on Jamel Herring for the world title. Maybe that will be the fight that kind of breaks out Shakur Stevenson, really turns him into a star of the sport. Just have to wait and see. I think Jamel Herring has proven that he doesn't get a lot of credit compared to what he deserves. So we'll have to wait and see. DAZN have also announced a new roster, including broadcast legend Mike Costello. Very excited to see him on the comms, on the DAZN feed. I mean, for $1.99 a month, it's fantastic value. This is not an ad. But yeah, I think Mike Costello was the pick of everyone over social media. That, you know, it was a great addition to the team. You've got a couple of people like Maya Jama, who I believe is kind of just there to help filter in the casual audience and get some casual buyers for DAZN. I think especially at the price point, that's quite easily doable. Chris Lloyd as well is one that I kind of expected. I think the work that he's done for Matchroom with Before the Bell and the other shows with Darren Barker, I think that that has made a lot of sense. And yeah, very much looking forward to seeing Chris Lloyd on DAZN. Why not? He's one of the local boys from around here, so yeah, very much looking forward to it. Donaire-Casimero. So that fight is now off. Casimero-Rigondeaux is back on. Look, frustrating turn of events, really, I suppose. You had Donaire claiming that Casimero wasn't open to drug testing, and then apparently that wasn't the case. There was a whole bickering among these two teams. I think, I'm just not too sure what the real underlying reasons were. I think it is a bit of a difficult one if it is really drug testing, because it seemed that Casimero was up for doing them. So yeah, I don't know what the real reasons are behind it. But now Rigondeaux is facing Casimero, which is still a very good fight, don't get me wrong. I think it's just a lot of people got excited by the prospect of Donaire facing Casimero. And I think, you know, we will get that fight one way or another. But whether Donaire faces Inoue first, who knows? Maybe he goes for the rematch there. But Casimero against Rigondeaux, we've mentioned it in previous podcasts, we won't really touch on it. But brilliant fight. Yeah, that will be going ahead. And yeah, I think Casimero just pulled that out of the bag once again. Really good fighter. Canelo is, according to Eddie Hearn, considering a move up to the 175 pound division. Whether that means fully or not, I don't believe so. I think it might just be another flirt at 175 pounds. It is all going off the fact that he doesn't get the fight with Caleb Plant. Whether they're just looking at alternate options to give Canelo a kind of more range of what to do with his career, or maybe it's showing that it's a bit harder to make because the boxing politics and things like that get in the way. We hope that's not the case. We hope that obviously Canelo is that big of a star, which he is, biggest star in boxing, to kind of lure Caleb Plant over to either DAZN or be able to make a deal for him to go and fight on there. And yeah, I think realistically we should be able to see that fight. I don't think there's a reason why you shouldn't see Canelo in an undisputed fight later this year. It's just, you know, whether Al Heyman and PBT, whether they want to let that go ahead, whether they want to lose their only 168 pound world champion now. But yeah, they have talked about Canelo fighting at 175 pounds. I think if he does go there, if that is an option, if the fight with Caleb Plant can't be made. Bivol, I think a lot of people have called for the fight with Bivol. I think that makes the most sense. Bertabiev has been mentioned, and I think, Jesus, I mean, if Canelo fights Bertabiev and wins, solidifies his, I think he's already there, but solidifies his career as an all-time great in the sport. Would be fantastic to see that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think all of this is a little bit too much, and I think you will get to see the fight with Caleb Plant anyway. So it's not too much point in talking on all of that. Fight that is worth talking about is Mikey Garcia versus Regis-Prograis, because that fight is very close to being done. Yeah, it came out of nowhere for me, to be honest. I think it's just such an interesting fight. I think you've got Mikey Garcia, who has the spells of inactivity as of late. His last fight was against Jesse Vargas. but a very good, elite level fighter. Really, I think pound for pound, he was right up there. I think the only reason that he's not on that list now is because of that inactivity. A lot of people would have loved to see him against Lomachenko, but I think it's going to be one hell of a fight with him and Regis-Prograis, who gave us the fight against Josh Taylor, which was one of the best fights that we've seen on British shores. Yeah, I think it's such an interesting matchup. I think both guys now kind of need each other because Josh Taylor holds all the belts, and I don't think either guy's going to get that fight just yet. But I think whoever wins that deserves the undisputed title shot immediately. And I just don't know who would win that fight right now. I love Regis-Prograis. I love the way that he fights. It's just completely all action. And there's so much talent in that guy as well. I think he's been picked well for Mikey Garcia. Garcia struggling with the size of the guys at 147 pounds, forcing a weight drop back down to 140 pound. Didn't necessarily struggle with Jesse Vargas, but just the size overall is just a bit too much for Mikey Garcia to really consider taking on the elite welterweight champions. I think 140 pounds is right. I think Regis-Prograis, that little bit shorter for a light welterweight. I think he'll give him a good fight, and I think he'll give him probably the most easiest route to win, and the most easiest route to... Not the easiest route, sorry. The shorter height in Prograis, I think, will allow Garcia to just adapt that little bit easier, is what I was trying to say. And yeah, look, very much looking forward to that fight. Hopefully it gets made. I think we've just had one more. Oh no, we've actually kind of talked about Hearn and Stevenson already. So it was just this weekend's fights, really. Both of them I'm a little bit really unsure of. I mean, you've got Lyndon Arthur versus David Ferrasi. I think everybody is kind of expecting a walkover for Lyndon Arthur. I think it will really just be how much Lyndon Arthur wants to impress. I think he'll take a couple of rounds to kind of suss out the style of Ferrasi, which is not too much. It's not like a giant puzzle. It's that typical European style. I think he'll break him down. He'll hurt him. The power of Lyndon Arthur is seriously underrated. A lot of people believe that he can't punch. Definitely from seeing him live ringside, he can definitely punch. And I think he will want to get the stoppage in this fight against Ferrasi. So I think a little bit in the later rounds, after he's worked him out, breaks him down, takes him down bit by bit, chopping at the tree, as they say. And I think he'll stop him anywhere between sort of rounds 9 and 12. But it could very easily come at any point. Because I think Lyndon Arthur really does punch that hard. And I think where he's got that world title shot on the horizon, being the WO #1, I think he'll definitely want to make a short night's work, let's say. I'll be tuning in. Be interesting to see how much Lyndon Arthur wants to impress. You've got a couple of other good guys on the card there. The other fight that's in America is Jojo Diaz versus Javier Fortuna. I think this is on the Friday as well. The 9th. Yeah, it is the Friday. Look, Javier Fortuna, a very seasoned veteran of the sport, I suppose we can kind of call him now. Has never had luck rub his way, and I think the fact that the fight with Ryan Garcia didn't happen and he's fighting Jojo Diaz, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think he deserves a big fight, and I just don't know if Jojo Diaz is the one to kind of get him up for it. I'm not too sure. I think he will. I think Javier Fortuna has been waiting this long, where it's been 2 years that this WBC tournament came on, and I think he's long overdue a world title shot now. He was meant to face Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC a while back. That never happened. Lomachenko went to face Luke Campbell for the belt. It just goes on and on. But I think Diaz is hopefully a bit more rejuvenated at the £135 limit. That's all I can really say. Didn't look overly impressive in his last performance against Rakhimov. I think he just kind of had to catch on that he wasn't really putting in 100% effort. And I think if you see that version against Javier Fortuna, the fact that Javier Fortuna is bang up for it, the fact that he knows his way around the ring a bit more than Rakhimov, and has been waiting and training this entire time for an opportunity like this, I think you'll see Fortuna just nick it. But I don't believe that would be the case. I think Jojo Diaz is a very smart boxer. Like we saw in his fight against Tevin Farmer, used the angles, worked them nicely. Maybe fought a weight drained Tevin Farmer, but still looked very impressive against him. And nicked it on the cards, even fought for adversity with the cut that he got in that fight. I think you'll see Diaz just outsmart Fortuna a little bit in this fight. I don't think it'll be a one-sided fight though. I think you can see Fortuna really kind of keeping his foot in the door, punches and bunches. This is the way that I just see the fight, is that I just see it kind of one at a time. I don't see it as like an all-action firefight. I just think Diaz will kind of control the pace a little bit more and not allow Fortuna to get too many shots in. And I think Diaz will just nick it on the cards this weekend. But yeah, very much looking forward to that fight. And then the winner goes on to challenge for the WEC World title, I believe. Unless they have to fight Ryan Garcia. Like I said, this tournament's been going on for 2 years. Would not be very surprised if there's a spanner in the works then. Yeah, great fight. Great fight, and looking forward to it. Should be good. That's everything. It's been slightly annoying to having to re-record all of this, but it's fine. It's done. Hopefully this has not crashed or anything. Touch wood. Thank you very much for watching. If you're on YouTube, listening on Spotify, thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And yeah, I will see you all next weekend. Enjoy the boxing. Bye bye.